When I was young, I thought I knew my father completely. He was steady, reserved, and reliable in every way. His presence was strongest in his silence rather than in his words. Most of his life revolved around work, and whatever he carried inside remained hidden behind his calm demeanor. He rarely spoke of the past, never revealed what he truly felt, and I never pushed him. I told myself his quiet was simply who he was, and that I understood him well enough. But that belief changed one cool October evening. I was in the attic, sorting through boxes filled with forgotten things. The air smelled faintly of cedar mixed with dust, and sunlight filtered in through a small round window, scattering golden flecks across the old floorboards. I had been working for hours when my hand brushed against something buried behind a stack of books, an old envelope, yellowed with time. My heart jumped when I saw his handwriting and my name written across the front. With unsteady fingers, I tore it open. Inside was a letter, fragile with age, the ink faded but still readable. From the very first line, I knew I had stumbled into a part of his life he had never intended me to see. The words were tender, aching, filled with longing. It wasn't a note to my mother or anyone I recognized. It was a love letter to someone who had once meant everything to him. Each sentence revealed a man I had never known, a man who had loved deeply, lost painfully, and carried sorrow silently through the years. Questions raced through my mind. Who was she? Why had he hidden this part of himself? What had happened that made him lock these feelings away for decades? I sat there for hours, clutching the letter against my chest as the light faded. By the time I looked up, dusk had swallowed the attic, shadows stretching long across the beams. Yet the words on that page refused to release me. In the days after, I began noticing things I had overlooked before, the way his gaze lingered on old photographs, how his fingers sometimes drifted across the piano keys without sound, the faraway look at his eyes when the house was quiet. These small details now pulsed with meaning, as though his past flickered just beneath the surface. Eventually, I gathered the courage to speak. One quiet afternoon, he was sitting in the living room with a book in his hands, sunlight brushing across the wall behind him. My voice trembled as I said softly, "I found a letter." He looked up, his expression calm, his eyes steady. For a moment, he said nothing, then let out a quiet sigh. "I suppose you're bound to find it someday," he murmured. "That letter was written long before you were born. I didn't keep it out of secrecy. Some memories are simply too fragile to lay bare." My chest tightened. "I don't want to intrude," I whispered, "but I want to understand. I want to know who you were before I knew you." He leaned back, his eyes drifting somewhere far away. His voice, when it came, was measured. Life teaches us to carry certain things quietly. We love, we lose, and sometimes the choices we make only reveal their meaning years later. Silence isn't always distance. Sometimes it's protection, for ourselves and for those we care about. For the first time, I saw vulnerability flicker in his eyes. Without thinking, I reached across and placed my hand over his. No more words were needed. That single touch built a connection stronger than any silence had ever allowed. From that day forward, something shifted between us. He began to share small pieces of himself. Stories of youth, fleeting loves, regrets he had long carried. I listened as though meeting him for the first time. Our evenings turned into quiet rituals, sitting together on the porch as autumn leaves drifted down, sometimes speaking, sometimes just being. The bond between us grew into something richer than I had ever known. No longer only father and child, but two people meeting in honesty and trust. I replayed everything in my mind at night, the letter, his confessions, the tenderness in his silences. I began to realize that his quietness had never been emptiness. It had been love, dignity, a way of carrying the weight of life without burdening those around him. Weeks later, I asked him the question that had lingered inside me. "Do you ever regret keeping so much of yourself hidden?" He lowered his eyes for a moment, then looked back at me with gentle honesty. "Sometimes," he admitted, "but some memories are sacred. Speaking them aloud doesn't always make them easier. Silence isn't meant to shut you out. It's meant to keep certain things whole. And in its own way, it protects you too." Tears blurred my sight, but for the first time in my life, I understood him completely. That letter had opened a door that could never be shut again. Silence was no longer a wall between us. It had become a bridge, carrying us into a closeness built not only on love, but on truth and vulnerability. Something deeper than I had ever thought possible.